Today is December 13th. We have a lot of stuff on the agenda. We have a lot of good stuff. We're here to honor some people, both in the public side and past elected officials. We have our Senator Josh Sanchez here. And we will ask him to speak at the commissioners, when the commissioners speak, to give us an update of what's going on in Santa Fe and see how he's going to help Socorro County during this session. The next thing on the agenda is invocation. Do we have someone to do it, or you want to do it?
I think I'd like to pass it off to Pastor James from the First Baptist Church.
Okay.
If you would, please.
Yes, sir. You'll pray with me. Father God, we come before you right now. Lord, we thank you for this time together. And Lord, I thank you for our commissioners who are working so hard for the county of Socorro. And Lord, I pray that you would lead them and guide them, give them wisdom and discernment in the ways that they should go in order to serve the people of Socorro and the surrounding communities. And Lord, just be with them and allow your presence to be felt here in this place this morning. Lord, we do thank you for your love and for your grace and for your presence each and every day. And we pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If I could, Pastor, if you could just have a moment of silence and prayer for the city mayor. He's very ill. If we could just collectively pray for him to get well soon.
Appendix.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the Pledge of Allegiance, can you lead us, Senator Sanchez?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible, with liberty. Among the United Cultures.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Anaya?
Sure.
Vice Chair Secretary? Commissioner Duggins? Commissioner Gonzalez?
Here.
Chair Martinez?
Present, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk. Approval of agenda. Commissioner Anaya, you have some changes to recommend?
Chairman Martinez, I'd like to approve the agenda with a couple of changes. First of all, our probate judge has an appointment coming up, so I'd like to move his section of O under new business, the recognition of Daryl Clinton to right after the approval of the agenda. And then under new business, B, the proclamation of appreciation of the outreach right after Daryl. And then right before we start new business, I'd like to move executive session right before our meeting. That'd be my motion with those changes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Anaya to change with the following changes. Second by Commissioner Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman, do you expect the executive to be a short one?
That would be very long, but with some other, it's pertaining to some other stuff on the agenda, so.
I need to have the people wait very long, but we can we'll do our best to get it out quick.
Well, if there's something you'd like to add to that, Commissioner.
It's just that,
We'll get it done.
okay.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes with the recommendations by Commissioner Anaya. Some of you might know this is Commissioner Anaya's last meeting as a commissioner. And I'd like to turn it over to him, if he'll do me the favor and share this meeting, the last meeting for him as our commissioner.
Thanks. I know y'all came to bid me farewell. I appreciate that. I'm moving on. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes dated November 15th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
You do, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, at this time, we would like to honor our probate judge, Mr. Darrell Cases, on his final month of his service to Socorro County. Thank you for all you've done for the nation, sir. And the county. Mike? Judge Cases?
I know everybody respects judge opinion and things, but as you can see, he's a Buccaneer fan, so that's opinion. I know you didn't want a plaque just to put in a drawer, so here's that. There's a scar, and then.
Related football.
Yeah, deflated football. The blanket to keep you cozy in your retirement by the fireplace with the logo and the years of your service.
Thank you.
Look a little children. We can just line around this.
Wow.
A photo up there, Judge.
I thought his team was the Cowboys.
And
Look over here, say cheese. Mike get closer.
Well, thank you, Commission, and the constituents of Socorro County. It's been an honor. We have a lot of good department heads that I've had the luxury and opportunity to work with. Hopefully they continue that as far as with the judge. We know a lot of people. Hopefully I was able to, just through using them, some commissioners or a sheriff may know, deputy may know somebody that needs that help, like on the probate side. They were able to pass it on, and it worked really nice. So I hope this next commission, or not the commission, the probate judge, he gets the same opportunity to work with all you guys, and it's been a pleasure, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice.
hey, look at that. Better than a plaque, no?
That is good to be in Dallas.
Did you? You don't know how.
Oh, nice gift. Joe, I've never watched that game.
No, sir. I didn't call it.
You know, that's the only one they had in 2 states. I'm just saying.
All right, well, thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Judge Cases. Now, moving on, we'll move to new business B, proclamation and appreciation of Linda Brown, Jamie Every, Lila Swearingen, say that right? For the outreach at the Socorro County Detention Center. Manager,
I made it big for you.
You can? They're gonna make it big enough so I can see. Something happened to me when I went to be 60. Maybe, you're moving a little. Let me just put it right here if I can. So a proclamation in appreciation of the outreach to the people housed in the Socorro County Detention Center. Whereas the Socorro County Board of Commissioners met in a meeting on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 9 a.m. at the Socorro County Annex Building, 198 Neal Avenue, Socorro, New Mexico. And whereas NMSA 1978, Section 437.1, provides that the counties have the power to provide for the safety, preserve the health, promote the prosperity, and improve the morals, order, comfort, and convenience of any county or its inhabitants. And whereas in MSA 1978, Section 438.18 provides that a Board of County Commissioner has the duty and authority to represent the county and have the care of the county property and the management of the interest of the county in all cases where no other provision is made by law. And whereas in MSA 1978, Section 33.3.1 provides that the common jails shall be under the control of the representative sheriffs, independent contractors, or jail administrators hired by the Board of County Commissioners or other local public body or combination thereof. And the same shall be used as prisons in the respective counties, and that the contracts between local public bodies and the private independent contractors for the operation or provision and operation of a jail are specifically authorized. And whereas in MSA 1978, Section 33.3.13 provides that all persons charged with crime committed in the state while awaiting indictment on trial on such charge shall be incarcerated in the county jail of the county wherein such crime is alleged to have been committed, or any facility operated by agreement between such counties or municipalities. And whereas persons incarcerated in jail are often in a state of crisis in their lives and often suffer from mental and emotional health issues, as well as substance abuse problems. And whereas incarceration in a facility can exacerbate a person's crisis because they are separated from loved ones. They don't feel like productive members of society, and the physical environment of being detained adds to the stress and anxiety. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners and detention staff recognize that those persons in the Socorro County Jail are our friends, our relatives, neighbors, and deserve all the resources and care available as they will hopefully be released and rejoin our community. And whereas Linda Brown, Jamie Avery, and Lila Swearingen of the First Baptist Church of Socorro County have been engaging in outreach to those persons in the Socorro County Jail for many years. And whereas they provide emotional and spiritual support as well as provide training and life skills to the inmates so that when they rejoin the community, they can be productive and welcomed. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Socorro County Board of Commissioners appreciates and recognizes the service of Linda Brown, Jamie Avery, and Lila Swearingen to our community, and the devotion they bring to education, renewal, compassion, and hope to so many within our correctional facility. This is approved, adopted, and proclaimed this day, the 13th day of December 2022, and signed by the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Duggins. If I could have those people please come forward.
Let's see. Thank you so much. So we have. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we need to also thank Eddie Garcia, the administrator of the jail. He runs the place. He can say yay or nay. And obviously he's in favor of this. And Eddie, the community, we owe you a thank you too. You run a good ship over there, and we appreciate it. Did you have a guest?
Yeah. First of all, I want to tell Ms. Linda, thank you. She's not about all this. What she does inside that detention facility for all of our males and our females, even through COVID, somehow she found a way to say, you know what, Eddie, let me send you something through email, and let's still share it. So the word was still getting announced through the facility, even through the COVID times. Ms. Linda's great. Just brag about her. She's an awesome person, not only for the detainees, but for my staff. She's just an awesome person. With that being said, today I wanted to share somebody who's been in the facility, somebody who's been through hard times, somebody who's lived it, somebody who was able to sit inside that classroom and hear Ms. Linda on a day in and day out basis. With that being said, Kendra Burgoon, if I could get you to stand up and kind of just share your story, introduce yourself.
Hi. As a lot of y'all may know, my name is Kendra Burgoon Pena. Y'all remember me when I was not the same person I am today. A little backstory, I started using meth at 12 years old, IV. Spent four different stays in the penitentiary, been a total of 14 and a half years. In and out of our county jail, raising lead hell. I ran the streets pretty hard. This kind of brought me to tears a minute ago. This used to be me. But you know, I was extremely, for you guys too. I had to been in this county jail at least 100 times. In and out, in and out, in and out. And every time I knew Miss Linda was going to be there. And every time I would walk in her classroom and be ashamed of myself. Because you'd always tell me, you can do better. I expect better. I know you can be better, and I know God wants better from you. And I would tell her, but Miss Linda, you don't know what I've done. You don't know the person I've been. And she says, but God does. I'm like, well, that makes me feel so much better. Well, here we go, but she was there every week. And she would remind me that God didn't leave me. I left God. I turned my back and I walked away. So after 27 years of IV meth use and tearing this town up from one end to the other, day before court, I wasn't allowed to stay in the jail anymore because I was kind of not a nice person. I was bipolar. So they sent me to the Department of Corrections as a county hold for 10 and a half months. So I sat in a little cell by myself for 10 and a half months. But I did my Bible studies, and I remembered Miss Linda's words when she told me that she expected more of me. And so I get back to the county jail the day before court. Miss Linda shows up. And she tells me, she says, all you gotta do is pray before you go in there, that you have the right words to change your life. And I said, but Miss Linda, I'm facing 22 years in the penitentiary. I've already been there 4 times. They're not gonna let me out. She says, you don't know that. So the next day in court, Judge Reynolds tells me, I'm gonna let you back out on probation, on 0 tolerance. Well, that didn't work the first 20 times. How's it gonna work this time? You know? So all of a sudden I stand up and I say, no, you're gonna put me on drug court. I don't know why I said it. I don't know what possessed me to do that. But it's because Miss Linda Brown told me to speak up for myself and ask for what was gonna help me. I graduated drug court. I became a certified peer support worker. I'm an office manager of the Cornerstone Christian Counseling. I run an IOP. I've been sober 4 years and 4 months. When they let me out to go to drug court, I was walking to go to drug court because I knew I needed to be there. There's Linda Brown seen me in a pair of flip-flops. She brought me a pair of shoes. And I will never forget that. Thank you.
I also think that we should take a moment to recognize the entire First Baptist Church. It is quite a good bunch of people, and I'm sure they've supported you. They're proud of you ladies, and as well as we are. The whole community is. I talk many times about what are we going to do to help this community. We know we're regressing. It's not the same as it was when I was a kid. I don't know the answer, but I know this is a big step and it's a hard road. But the easy way, that shortcut just never works, does it? And it'll be a long time. Took us a long time to get here. It'll take us a long time to turn it around. And it'll be people, not the government. It'll be the people like you ladies, like this church, that will turn this thing around. And we know that, and we should all pray. I've been very proud of this commission because we start our meetings, every meeting, with a prayer. And it's Christmas. It's the birth of Jesus. We know where he was born. We know where he walked. And we know who nailed him to the cross. And we know why. We know those things. That's a fact. And it's time to reflect. And it's, what can I do for my community? You see a troubled kid before they get too old, give them a job, keep them busy, wash your car, mow your grass, trim your trees. I don't know. Everybody has something to do, right? Don't close your door and your blinds. Get involved. And I suppose I'll leave it at that. And Linda, ladies, you have those, but we have Jennifer, we have the proclamation, but we're waiting.
Yes, for it to be signed by the commission.
For the entire commission to sign it. But know that we do care and we try our best. It's a hard road. And Senator knows that as well, that we face a lot of problems, but it will be the people that pull us out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all for all you do. Congratulations and keep up the great work. And God bless you.
Thank you.
I can imagine being how many months? 10?
10.5 months.
Oh.
15 minutes, you only get 15 minutes out of your cell a day and not weekends. It was the easiest time I done because I wanted to be there that time.
Here we go with we can get our stuff signed.
Thanks again. Okay. Okay, commissioners, moving on to committee and department reports. A, acknowledge department report. I do believe we had animal control, detention center, emergency services, road department, senior center, and the Socorro County Extension Office in your packet. Any questions or discussion on those?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on the road department, is Art here? I'd just like to ask him, we've had a lot of damage with rains, and then last week we had 2 days of solid rain. We were catching up on the road, as I understand it now. What is the status? One question. Second question, you had openings, or 3 openings. What is the status of hiring those employees? And the third question is on equipment. I know a while back you were hurting on equipment. Answer the first question and see how are we up on the roads now.
We're out there again, just blading those roads and fixing up all the washouts that we had those 2 days of rain. And, we're pretty much cut up on the outside in the east and in the west, more or less. But in the west, we still need quite a bit of, work. Down in the south, we're doing good. We're up north now. We'll get there.
For the public that might not know, the county is responsible for 1,428 miles maintained. How many employees do you currently have working?
7.
7 employees. And you're gonna hire, did you hire those other 3?
No, we have, interviews tomorrow morning. We're gonna interview, 3 that put in. And, yeah, hopefully we're gonna be hiring them.
But out of those 7 that you mentioned, 1 is an administrative secretary, 1 is a mechanic, correct?
Yes,
So those don't work on the roads, they fix the equipment.
there's 5.
So actually you have 5 people that work on the roads. How many did you have at one time?
15 to 18 employees.
Okay.
We work the weekends so we can catch up on these roads, so a lot of overtime, but I'll go out there and I'll go, play the whole day and, you know, 'cause some of these guys are burnt out already, and they get a couple of days off.
Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm glad Senator Sanchez is here. Maybe he can mail us a check or something where we're. It all trickles down, right?
Yes, Commissioner, why I'm here today, it's, you know, I work very well with all you guys and, you know, capital outlay is coming, so we need to get some of these projects or extra money on the CIP list, so I can, you know, Michael, I work very closely with him and a few of the other commissioners on these projects. We all hope that the governor will give us the money she needs to give us and, you know, we'll get it to our counties, our municipalities, so yes.
This morning in the news, they said that New Mexico has a 3.5 billion surplus money to use.
Probably spend 5.
That the governor does issue that out to all the House members and to the senators so that we can give it out where it's needed. You don't fund all these special projects, but it does happen, you know. And, you know, we have to all remember, if I could speak for a second.
You better over here.
You guys are the, you know, this capital outlay money, we give it to our municipalities, our counties. You know, I represent Cibola County, Valencia County, Socorro County, and McKinley County. Mine is the second biggest district in the state. So I do have a lot of ground that I cover, but I do try to interact and be very close working with all the county managers, city managers, and getting this money. But, you know, as hard as we work as senators to get you the money, we got to remember the governor still has that power to veto. Last year, I gave almost $750,000 in McKinley County and Cibola County, and the governor vetoed all of it. You know, and when that happens, that money goes back to the general fund and we don't get it. So we have to make sure we keep up on writing her letters or, staying on it. And that's my job, to work as hard as I can to get you this money. And, I'll be working with Mike and Close on the CIP list and all that stuff. But I am here today to listen and see what concerns we have here in Socorro, because the capital outlay is coming. You guys are having a meeting, I think, next month. And so we can get you that money. And any of the commissioners, I believe all of you have my cell phone number and stuff, so we can work very closely on getting this money. So if there's any other questions, I want to congratulate all the people that were honored here today. It's an honor for me to be here to see this. You guys are doing great work here in Socorro. Always love coming to Socorro. I have lots of friends here, whether it's in business or just friends, but Socorro is a great town, and let's keep it up. If any of you have any concerns or anything you need that I can help, please personally reach out. I'll meet with any one of you at any time. With that being said, I'll turn it back over to the commissioners. If there's any other questions.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
And please, I know we do a little down the line here, have some really hot topics on there. We'd love your input on those.
Okay.
And Commissioner Duggins was correct on some of this. I'm not to that portion yet, but as soon as I do, I would like to move a few more things. But I'll bring that motion up when I get there. So moving on next, or was there any other questions for any of the reports or any other departments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Acknowledge manager's report.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Commission, just try to be as short as possible on the verbal report. I did meet with Steve Williams and Gary Biner to review the progress on the various several projects being performed in Socorro County. I think I advised the commission at this point in time, Socorro County has the most projects going on in its history. It's past $14 million in projects, and we're still moving on with others. Not to count LGRF. Art did not, I think he missed that we did complete the LGRF for 2020-21. We're closing those out. I would like to say that we did purchase another grader at one time. That was through some revenue generating programs we had at the road department, where we only used to have two. And I think on our ICIP, we do have a spreader that's listed on there, Senator. So the San Antonio Drainage and Infrastructure Project, we're working on 3rd Street. We have to reach out to Virginia Alguire again for the purchase of that BLM property. It's actually 20 acres. That estimate should be done in January. So hopefully we can do that. Easement requirements. So I've met with different property owners throughout the area to see if they will allow some easement permissions while the construction is going on. DEC will provide revised easements. Argus Street is one of the plans for reconstruction that's going on within the phases. We can't do phase 1 until a BLM comes to us on the property issue. The other thing is the CR 91 Kaya the Limitar. We met with the property owner this week. He signed some paperwork, so we should be moving fairly rapidly to finish the purchase of that property through NMDOT funds, which is allowable. So we can at least finish the first phase of that project, which we received $250,000 in funding. Sholey Bridge is moving along. We are having a problem reaching one owner, trying to get not only easement, but ability while construction is going on to utilize their property and then restore it. We did do a hydrogeological study in which the spring there will not be disturbed. Let's see. Abo Springs, that was the Abo Springs three tanks road improvements. Still working on that. Geotech field work is complete. We're anticipating the report from Westburn Technologies within a week. Ortho photos with contour information and planometric detail be delivered December 6th. That's at DEC. San Antonio Detention Pond Infrastructure, finalizing task order for project will forward to the county. I did sign off on a task order Friday, and they submitted the requisition today to be paid, the PO. One of the things that the commission was made aware of is that NMDOT is a study phase of a rebuild of the San Antonio interchange at I-25 and US 380. I participated along with the chair in that telephonic conference. But within that, we learned that there were some issues about flooding that they were looking at. And so I've asked DEC to get with them so they could make sure that we're not rebuilding the same type of thing or reinforcing the same type of thing. There was an issue that was brought up, I think by Julie, the county assessor, in which New Mexico Tax and Revenue Department advised the county was going to receive $700,000 less than it had in years prior. We reached out to them and we utilized also the county manager's affiliate. And now, as you can see, they said historically the equalization distribution have ranged between 23 and 28 million annually to the counties. And the FY21 funding included a significant increase, which was anomaly in response to the pandemic shutdown. So they went back and recalculated, and they're now saying that we will receive what we're supposed to receive and what we've historically been distributed to us. So that's been brought to an end. We won't be shortchanged $700,000. Received a survey or land CR 91. I'll be working with the county attorney to write up a claim deed to make sure that's in place so we can start again with that. I was able to convene a meeting with Senator Harry Garcia, Tara Jaramillo, Gail Armstrong, Senator Sia Pinfield, Commissioner Vice Chair Craig Secretero was there, Commissioner Gonzalez was there. I also conversed later with Senator Josh Sanchez, and I had the opportunity to bend Senator Crystal Diamond's ear at the 100% New Mexico, one county at a time, regarding our needs. They're very busy during this time of the year, so it's really amazing that Senator Sanchez is here because his plate is tremendously full, and I appreciate that. So they are made aware of they wanted a list of 5 top priorities. I read off your list of those priorities, and so they're actually going to get another written response, and then I'll send it again in January as far as what we're looking at. Here's some of the progress that's going on our countywide energy efficiency projects, in which we've already received numerous checks from Socorro Electric Co-op. This is photographs of outside the courthouse to the south, in the south parking lot, in which the solar panels are going up. This is just one of many projects countywide at the facilities in which the commission moved forward on funding this project along with ARPA funds so that we would reduce our carbon print, and at the same time, our energy savings would make the premium payments or the loan payments of the remaining amount. Been working with Forest Service, myself and the commission chair met with the Forest Service to address Forest Roads 123, 10, Abbey Springs subdivision and others. And we actually assisted in the Forest Service again. We'd already allocated about 30 grand on Forest Service property in order to help community members. And we again allocated funds, resources, and materials to address 123 and some of the other roads. That's what the other thing is task force recommendations that's going on in Socorro County. We need staffing workforce. That's countywide. That's not only the county, but that's the city, businesses, what's going on in order to try to get economic development going on here. Training in unified practice, behavioral health resources, supportive custody, behavioral health resources, all the things that you need in order to try to bring economic development to your area. And that's sort of an abbreviation of what we all had exposure to and all the ideas that we came up with. During this time also, I held various broadband meetings and conveying the county's willingness to support any ISP that will provide as much connectivity as possible with the allocation of grant funds through ARPA in the amount of $250,000. So we're still having trouble enticing ISPs to the area. We do have an ISP going into Magdalena because they understand that that has a high penetration and sustainability rate. So they've done that. And as you can see, there is one in Socorro in which they're actually going underground. We did have a meeting with the Socorro Electric Co-op, reference where they're at and what their footprint looks like because they're actually going out also. We also made them aware that we have funding available, a grant pretty much. You just have to, the grant would be allocated when you apply for it, just showing that you're going to address as much connectivity throughout the county as possible. Met with the senior center director and another employee, and Gary from Summit referenced menu and quality of food and struggles throughout the nation and locally regarding supply chain and personnel issues. We desperately trying to improve the food quality and portionality at the senior centers. Unfortunately, you know, this is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that we're dealing with, and they're having supply chain issues just like everybody else. They'll order 20 pallets of food, and the truck will roll up to their back door and have 2 pallets. Just so everything is, they're having the same cost problems that everybody else is having. You know, eggs are, I think now $6, $6.50. We used to pay $2. Milk, you don't even look at milk. They're starting to try to do a milk enhancement. That's what they call it, which is really powdered milk. Like I used to, when I was raised as a kid, we did powdered milk. And water, because the cost is just astronomical, and we have no idea where it's going to go. So we talked about those types of things. And then I have another meeting on Wednesday with the senior center director and see where we're headed with Summit. I attended an Alamo chapter planning meeting to go over concerns regarding availability of Navajo agency offices regarding the Alamo Concrete Culvert Road and Flood Control Project. And I reached out to Jamie Henyo, who was there, and also AJ and Mr. Sandoval, asking them for their assistance in having us actually tie down some Alamo. I mean, not Alamo, but some Navajo agency contacts so we can get that project underway. That's a $3.6 million project. Meet with contractor and Quayland reference the possibility of receiving energy credits for the countywide project that should be completed in mid-June or end of January. The idea behind that is we can get credits, which are rebates, and so that's more funds coming into this county. Reference the energy efficiency project that we implemented. So we'll find out hopefully by the end of the month or beginning of January if we qualify for that once we go completely live. My hopes are that we are, and from our conversation, it looks like it's favorable for us to qualify. I attended Scripto in Williamsburg to grade various agency submittals regarding everything from equipment to road initiatives. A lot of that was actually transportation initiatives. The city of Socorro was there. I also attended the SCOG meeting, in which it's hard during the holiday season to have a quorum, and thank goodness we did. And we voted on various items pending issues with the SCOG. That's sort of it in a nutshell, some of the things that we've been up to.
Pretty busy. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mike, that meeting we had with the forest, remember there was a resident that brought the issue about, the road Bernardo, backside for the BLM?
Yeah.
The road was almost completely gone and they had pictures. Did we ever contact the BLM? See that? Art,
Yeah, I talked to Virginia, she was gonna go take a look at it.
okay, can you find out the status of that road? It was almost gone and that was just real narrow.
I can, when I talk to Virginia again, I'm sorry, Chair and Commissioner Martinez, when I talk to Virginia again, which I hope to talk to her by the end of the week again, I'll ask her again about that. And I don't know what their resources are. I know BLM has a huge amount of road department resources, so I'll,
That's gonna need a lot of work.
yeah. I actually, I mentioned it to Chance at a meeting last night. I'll re-mention it to him again. I was at the San Antonio Beach Domestic Water Consumers Association meeting last night, so I'll make sure I mention it again. Matter of fact, I'll probably text him during the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman.
One more item, when we met with the Forest Service supervisor for the Cibola came down to that meeting. He's a top guy. And he advised us, there's no money to reimburse us on some of the work that we do. But he also said to track it and put it in a cost and submit it to the forest ranger there in Magdalena. So if they do get money, they can kind of reimburse us for the money that we already put into it, which is running up every time that we do extra work. So please, Arthur, continue saving those and sending them, so we can send them to the district ranger. Thank you.
Commissioner. Any more questions for Manager Ops? Hearing none, we'll move on to acknowledgement of December birthdays. Can I entertain that?
I'll do it, Mr. Chairman. Marty Salas, Road Department, December 1st. Rosemary Rosas, County Treasurer, December 3rd. Timothy Gutierrez, Sheriff's Office, December 3rd. Tanya Moisler, Detention Center, December 8th. Linda Mares, Senior Center, December 11th. Vanessa Munoz, Manager's Office, December 17th. Rosella Pachito, Detention Center, December 17th. Marcos Chavez, Sheriff's Office, December 20th. Embryo Apache Detention Center, December 23rd. Danny Hill, Senior Center, December 27th. Crystal Rengeco, DWI Program, December 28th. LV Taylor, Maintenance, December 30th. Happy birthday to all these employees.
Happy birthday. Thank you, Commissioner. Moving on to acknowledge Commissioner's report. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I have nothing to report.
This time, Commissioner Duggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad again you're here, Mr. Senator Sanchez. So most of you probably know I'm a board member of the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy. We had our meeting yesterday. The dam that we store is Alvado. It's under remodel, I guess, repair. It's not capable of holding any water. Won't be finished till 27. They got set back a year over budget and behind time, right? So anyway, 27, we're looking at that. But also I learned, Clerk Saavedra, that the clerks met recently with, was it the Secretary of State or somewhere, and that this overhaul of the election, trying to put all of our little small elections like the Conservancy School Board, what have you, into a general election. The Conservancy is such an odd, how could you say, we don't follow political lines, we follow irrigation line. The only way you can vote is to be a landowner within those lines. And it doesn't match the clerk's books. And it's going to be very, very difficult for them to handle, I think, is what I understood. And I think the outcome of this last meeting, that I'm speaking third hand, that was that the clerks no way could, you want to take it?
So the meeting was with Secretary of State. It was also with the MRGCD president. And the Secretary of State is taking it to the legislation to see if we can postpone that. And until 2025 to see if we can work on it to get the MRGCD into our service program in order for us to run a election. So as of right now, Secretary of State is working on with the legislation to pass that MRGCD will run their election in 2024 like we normally do.
And I think the date that we usually have an election up there in June, that may vary a little bit. There's quite a bit going on. And Senator, I personally think, and I think most farmers, that putting the Conservancy in a general election will forever give the city of Albuquerque the control. We won't be heard because we just don't have enough people, right? And the lines then would be moved according to population. So your board members are going to be in the city. The Socorro board seat that I have would blend in somewhere in Valencia County, and so forth. And it's a bad move. The farmers in the Middle Rio Grande are easily the smallest minority, and yet we're the ones that are mostly affected by the doings of the Conservancy. We need a voice, and we need a strong voice. And I'm hoping that somehow that the legislature can just pull us out of it. Let us run our own election. I don't understand why we are trying to fix what's not broke. And again, I'm glad you're here to hear that, but the board in the Conservancy is not unanimous on this. We have 6 pueblos, and the pueblos, a lot of them, they don't wish to be a registered voter. But in this overhaul, you would have to be a registered voter to vote. Now, the way it is, a Pueblo member can, if they're 18 years of age, they can vote, whether they're registered voter or not. They just have to be a Pueblo member. And so I think it's an opportunity for the farming community and the Pueblos to work together, because they're just going to run over us. I'll stop at that.
Thank you, Commissioner Duggins. Commissioner Martinez, anything at this time, Chairman?
Not now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Secretary, anything at this time, Vice Chairman?
None at this point, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I've got nothing to report at this time, so we're going to move on to public comment. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. The County Commission is not able to take action on these matters discussed during public comment, and speakers are requested to come up to the podium and state their name, please. Jennifer, do we have anybody? Is there anyone here who has anything to say on something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on. At this time, I would like to call for a motion to go into public hearing for ordinance 2022-03, the subdivision claim and exemption ordinance. We have a motion by Vice Chairman Secretary. Do we have a second?
Go ahead, second, Lenny.
Second by Chairman Martinez. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now in public hearing over ordinance 2022-03.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, just to introduce, before you is a claim of exemption ordinance, which essentially is just an update to the current ordinance that we have. Basically what it is, if someone were to do a subdivision in New Mexico and Socorro County, you have to go through the subdivision ordinance, which is relatively complex, and it's a substantial bit of work. However, the legislature has provided 13 exemptions. Basically say these are not subdivisions if you do this. So basically, there's 13 ways you can split land without going through the big subdivision ordinance. And for example, you could give a piece of land to a family member, or you can everyone gets, like, I call it a free split. You get to split it once every few years for free, no matter what. So there's basically 13 ways that you can split land that is not legally a subdivision. That is how most of the land is split in Socorro County, and the county manager deals with processing these claims of exemptions all the time. Really, all this ordinance is doing is updating our current ordinance, which the process is already in place of having the county manager review to ensure that the documents are in order and that it is a proper claim of exemption. What essentially is going on is the legislature changed some of the requirements for exemptions, and basically, and also requires now that prior to a plat for an exemption being filed, the treasurer has to have received all the property taxes. So that's already in state law. We're just doing some housekeeping and basically making sure our ordinance matches state law. So if you have any questions, I'll step in.
Are there any questions for Attorney Nats? Are there any questions out in the public on this matter? Thank you, Attorney Nats. Hearing none, we'll move on, and we need a motion to return to regular session.
I'll make the motion. Go ahead.
I'll second. We have a motion by Commissioner Martinez and a second by Commissioner Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now back in regular session. Commissioners, at this time, before we move on, because I know I did some changes and I promised you I'd be back at this. With all the illnesses and everything going on, I would like to jump straight to new item L on the Socorro General Hospital building. Just because I know Miss Veronica Pound is extremely busy and has to get back to work.
Morning, County Commissioners, Chair. I am here today. I'm Veronica Pound. I'm the Hospital Chief Executive at Socorro General Hospital. And I'm here this morning to request distribution of our funds from the mill levy for the fourth quarter of $250,000.
So move.
Second.
Right?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on this matter? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Is your hospital at capacity?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioners, now moving on. Let's go back to A, consideration of the ordinance we just had public comment over. Attorney Nats, anything else to add?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you don't have any questions pursuant to 437-1, a vote would be in order, and if it passes, it'll go into effect 30 days after recorded with the county clerk.
Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Commissioner Gonzalez. Do we have a second?
You do.
We have a second by Commissioner Martinez. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We already did B. Moving on, I'd like to join C and E right now. Consideration on the agenda request, approve one-time repair for reopening County Road 270. And also the consideration agenda request for County Road 270 improvements. Steve, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you. Madam Chair.
Is that the Bernardo Road going up on 97?
Go ahead, sir.
All right, Commission. Good morning. Stephen Berardi. I'm a resident over on El Centro, which is County Road 270 over in Bernardo, New Mexico. I've been here a few times and haven't had wonderful luck. And I know there's a lot going on. I'm not here to point fingers, asking for help and offering help. If there's anything that we can do as a neighborhood to help along getting our road repaired. Right now, it's impassable when it rains. Emergency vehicles can't get down there. There is a Socorro Electric substation down there that they probably would have a difficult time getting to. And then recently, one of the high pressure county gas lines was unearthed, and they recently had to put a number of tons of sand on top of that to rebury it. It's a 500 PSI gas line that supplies the city of Socorro. It doesn't affect any of us in the neighborhood. And that had become unearthed. It's supposed to be 3 feet underground. So we were trying to work something out that we could get that road repaired for the neighborhood and for the community as well. That Socorro electric substation, the Bernardo substation, serves an estimated 9,300 people. So that's not just something that's for us as well. It would be beneficial for the entire county. It had come up that I know we've got 1,428 miles of road in this county, and that money could be an issue. In contacting various agencies around the county and state, it seems that if we can ask the state for money, they will possibly provide it to us for a project even such as ours. So not sure what goes into asking the state for the money, but I believe it's Matthew 7:7, right? Asking you shall receive, seeking you shall find. So I'd like to, in the spirit of community, I'm not here to point fingers and say, oh, it's your job, our job. I'm a taxpayer. Everybody knows all that already. Just looking for a solution. And if there's anything that I or the residents that have come from that community can do to help, we're on board. But we've been told, like, right, it's illegal. We can't touch the road. We can't do any type of repairs on our own, and that's understandable. So we're kind of just asking for help, and now asking for the county to ask for money, since as individual residents, we're not allowed to ask the state for money. It has to be some kind of organization or an official government, I guess. So if there's anything that we could do to help ask for money, that's kind of what we're here for. Just can we ask the state? Is that an option? And even Senator Sanchez here has said that he will try to help us out by allocating some of that money if the county asks. Well, that's what we're here for, I guess, today, is to ask the county to ask the state for money.
Hey, thank you, Steve, for that. Senator, I know the city just recently hauled, I believe, over 15 yards just to cover that gas line. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that was mostly sand, and I think that was
county as well.
Oh, was it sand?
Isaac from this gas department said they also hauled over 15 yards. And I'm just curious, because that's quite a bit just to cover this one little area where the gas line was exposed.
Yeah.
But I know it's been hit one time before, I'm guessing 20 plus years ago or so.
Nice.
From the records I've come up with. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Senator, is there anything in there that would completely shut down the city of Socorro as far as the gas goes? And at this time of year, that's something we must avoid.
Right. And then also there's a project, I believe it's Sunzia. They're going to be putting in an electric transmission line along the easement there through the BLM. And apparently, I think they're out there right today, actually. It's a company called SAM. I believe they all have Texas plates. I think they're doing the boring samples to see about driving in transmission lines, which are going to be probably 100 feet high. They're pretty high. So I know they have to bring in a lot of heavy vehicles to do that eventually. Today, they were just driving with pickup truck and a little ATV in tow. But eventually, I'm guessing they're going to be driving down that road. So there's a way to get them to pay for improvements as well? And the improvements would go more than just grading over the road. It needs to be rebuilt. It's now like almost in an arroyo where the surrounding grade is a foot or more, 2 feet in some places higher than the actual road. So it just kind of acts like a little trough or an arroyo for a river. So it would be growing in some base course. The Bernardo Wildlife Refuge, just across the freeway there, seems to have had very good luck with limestone. And putting that down and making roads. Their roads are very nice. I spoke with Mike Chavez, who lives over there. He's the Northern Socorro Fire District captain. And he said that the state had put in about 500 tons of limestone for about 3.5 miles of 8-foot wide road. And I had found a limestone quarry that does it for $18 a ton. So times 500, that'd be about 20 grand in material. And he said that they just packed it down and that was good. I guess limestone is one of the main components of cement, which is one of the main components of concrete. So it seems to work very nicely for them. So we're not looking for, the Autobahn, don't need a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit with lines and McDonald's and stuff on the side. Just something that we can drive down, not get stuck, and have emergency vehicles be able to get down there, including the gas company and the electric company.
Thank you for that, Steve. Just real quick, we got Yanni ready
Already, yes.
on the line here.
Oh.
I don't know if you can hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I sure can.
Can y'all hear him? Okay, go ahead.
Good morning. I'd like to first thank the commission for allowing the time to address you guys today. I know you guys have a busy agenda and stuff. Just in the spirit of full disclosure, if I seem a little rushed this morning, my wife is upstairs in labor at the hospital here, giving birth to our 9th child. So I'm a little pressed on time.
Happy birthday, busy.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, again, my name is Gianni Moretti. I'm the CEO of Moretti Farm and Ranch, Chief Operating Officer of a company called Moretti BioAg, a regenerative agriculture consulting firm. Between my wife and I, we've dedicated about 40 years of our lives to restoring habitats and regenerating degraded agricultural lands. Wisconsin and Maine. And helped restore and regenerate nearly 975,000 acres of land across the globe, from India, Africa, China, Australia, South America, Central America, and here in the United States. In the fall of 2021, we decided we wanted to consolidate our assets and our holdings and relocate our primary place of business to a place we felt would be the most need in help of the services that we offer as a consulting firm, plus a community, as for what we provide in healthy, quality food. And with that, we set off in 2021, looking for that place, studying U.S. Department of Agriculture reports on agricultural economies, drought conditions, everything else like that. And ironically, we landed on Socorro, which was ironic for my wife and I. We are Italian, and Socorro in Italian means help. The irony was not lost upon us. So we started searching around Socorro County and Southern Valencia County about a year ago or so. And we settled back in August on our first tract of land in what is now the West Belen Grant in Bernardo. It's west of the Glen West Mesa. We've already acquired our first 160 acres of land out there, and we are in talks with abutting property owners out there to acquire another 460 acres within the next 6 months. And our intention is to continue to expand in our land holdings in the West Belen Grant and make it less of a subdivision and more of a larger land holding, expanding from 1,000 to 3,000 acres is our preferred target across the next 10 years. Now, with regenerative agriculture, I know there's a lot of agricultural professionals here on the commission and stuff, some farmers, some ranchers, and guys with experience. And as anybody in an agriculture business knows, before you can just take a plot of land and think you're going to plant something in it or anything else like that, you need to do some research. The West Belen Grant, almost the entirety of it coming off of the mesa, sits on between a 3.6 and a 4.1% grade, sloping down towards the Rio Puerto River.
We've had survey crews. I've sent a couple of my companies, agronomists out there and everything else like that, now that we've acquired the deed and own the land. And we're having difficulties, just in the fact that there is no road. It's akin to a four-wheeler trail. And it is, you're not getting out there without four-wheel drive in a pickup truck. Nobody's taking their two-wheel drive car or even two-wheel drive truck on what is, as I'm told, County Road 270. Now, what we're asking for, I just want to be very clear here. What we're asking for is a one-time blading of the road there. And I'm not even asking for the entire, I believe the entire road is around 11 miles. Our first property we've acquired and where we intend to start building on at the end of 2023, maybe midway into 2024, is 1.6 miles from the turnoff from a road that gets graded. I've had surveyors out there. I employ geologists and everything. Now, the problem with this current four-wheeler trail, I'll call it, is that it does not stay on the county's land. There are several spots on what is the trail right now that protrude into property owners' privately held land, just as where people occasionally traveling up and down that path, whether it be the road is washed out or surface is washed out or an arroyo is deepened, they just kind of went around and made it up as they go. We have to complete our first phase of research so we can begin development out there, which with it brings economic development. Just my initial crew alone, we're going to take up half of the Kiva campground, 5 miles down the road there. We need to be able to move in some of our machines. We have an excavator with a core drill. We have research trailers, mobile laboratories, fifth-wheel trailers that have soil microbiology lab on it, a gas chromatograph on it, and things like that. And these are very expensive machines. Just like the gas chromatograph alone is a $300,000 machine. It's very delicate. Now, what we've found with the trail out there is that most of the subsurface, if it were to be graded, there's actually a high concentration of clay and what the geologist tells me is caliche, which I think is like a local name for some kind of rock. I'm not familiar with caliche too much, but he believes that if the road were just graded, no base course, no limestone, no fill needed. If the road were just graded, like opened up, it would fairly easily maintain itself. Now we do as a company. I mean, we do possess the machines that would allow us to spot groom the road and everything like that if necessary. I'm well aware that's not within the legality of county government and everything else like that. But in the initial phase, we bring with us economic development, not just for our company. We're not capitalist profiteers. My subsidy company, Ready BioAg LLC, is an agricultural consulting company in which we have helped over 10,000 farmers in this country get away from industrial agriculture, which is tillage and industrial agricultural chemicals, switch over to regenerative agriculture, which is working with nature's ecosystems in place, increase their profitability, recover farms that were on the verge of bankruptcy, increase productivity and stimulate economies everywhere that we have worked to help regenerate degraded farmlands. Now, New Mexico alone, I think of the entire Southwest. I mean, I don't count California in that. That's Mexico's Canada to me. But in the entire Southwest, New Mexico is about the hardest hit by drought of this 7 years out that we've been going through. And I know Commissioner Dugans, I actually saw him talking about that on a news thing a year or two ago on how bad the drought is out there is, and what we offer as a business consulting companies, ways and means to fix that. And the way that we do that for our community, I mean, we are half capitalist, half community activists. We work with some large corporations, like our main office right now, which is our corporate office. We work with companies such as Irving Agriculture and everything else like that, which are some of the biggest potato fields in the country. And we make good money off of that. But with the money we make from that, I can help my farmer 2 miles down the road with me with only 30 head of cattle and 60 acres. I can help him for free because we make the money elsewhere to help our local community. And then with our business moving in, I believe, and I can't say with absolute certainty as much as I would like to at this time, we have a year and a half of research ahead of us and many more millions of dollars to spend in the property that we're acquiring out there. But I do not see in over 20 years of business, I do not see any path short of my geologists all need to be fired and everything else because we have been misinformed on the land we are buying, that we will not bring economic development to Socorro County and Southern Valencia County, not only in employment, but in terms of being able to be a community resource through our bioag company, to help our local farmers and ranchers assess the situations which are facing them and find alternative methods other than industrial agricultural chemicals or drilling more wells or things to that nature. So again, I just want to be very clear. What we're asking here for is not to be put on your county maintains road list. We're not asking for you guys to bring out, a bunch of base course gravel or bank run gravel or a bunch of limestone to make a nice, pretty, paved highway. I'm happy with two blades wide and a John Deere 720 grader. Just make it level, and I would be perfectly content if you stopped right at our first parcel that we've already acquired, which is by way of the Crow 1.6 miles. I believe it's between 1.9 and 2 miles by way of the road. I think we cannot be for certain because the current path that is there navigates off onto abutting property parcels, privately owned parcels. So it is very hard and would be very expensive for my surveyor to go out there and calculate that. But a rough estimate is 1.6 to 2 miles.
Commissioners, any questions on that? I got one. You're talking 1.6 miles from 25?
No, the road is there is development and houses out there. So when you get off by Kiva Campground right there on, I believe it's 60, there's about 3.5-4 miles of road that's easily passable. It appears to be graded and so on. On Google Maps, they call the road 200 Cam y Gordo, I believe. Where it heads basically due north off of that. I mean, it's a passable road. I wouldn't call it a finished road, but it's a passable road. And there is the power lines. There's power lines there. There are houses out there. There are residents living in Socorro County out on that area. It hangs a left turn. And I've sent a copy of the map, and I believe Mike has it as well. And I believe Arthur has it too. I sent it over from Google Maps. It is. Where that road hangs a left and goes north out into the West Belen Branch subdivision. It is approximately 1.6 to 2 miles to our first parcel.
Okay.
Now, I see it now. Yeah, and if we can get that far, the parcels we are in negotiations with right now to purchase that are abutting are all going to the north right now with the exception of one. So if we can at least get to the initial 160-acre parcel, I on my own private road, I can put a farm road anywhere I want to. But I just need to get to that first initial parcel. And
okay.
In this, we expect no ongoing maintenance, no anything like that. I'm not asking to tie up the budget. I know you guys in the road department are stretched.
Okay,
I think we got exactly what you're asking, but they are asking for repairs to that road that leads to this one. And, Manager Hawks or Attorney Nast, remind me again, does the Senzia go through there? Or would they just be running equipment through there? Because I know we asked for improvements on the road across I-25, but.
I'm not exactly certain. I think they will be using the road, and when they do, once they finally identify that, then we will be meeting with them, and I'd certainly invite everyone else to. They have to enter into a road maintenance and improvement agreement. So that's the time when, if they identify for sure that road after, BLM, EIS is done and what they're gonna do with it, that's when we say, this is what we require of you.
Correct, because we already have a resolution on that they will maintain and repair, right?
We already do have a resolution, a law for that, but we're going to take that another, a further step, and we're going to do I anticipate we will enter into individualized maintenance and construction agreements so that we get the best bang for our buck.
Commissioner Duggan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But this man's having trouble today. What kind of time frame are we looking at for the Sunzia? It seems to me like we owe these people a road they can get in and out of.
Sunzia will be a while, that's not.
But then can we task the staff to go look at it if the first half mile's okay, if the second half is, fix it.
At your office.
Thank you, Chairman Nyad, Commissioner Duggan. So it was us that hauled out 28 tons of base course and other items, and also repaired, placed in culverts that same day. The issue about I think you made reference that was the county gas lines. That's not the county.
In the city.
Or cities. So I know we went out there, just like we respond in all the other areas when we have a road issue, we respond with as much personnel and equipment as possible. Their road is no different than the other 1,400 square miles of roads we take care of. When we see an issue such as that, we appreciate you bringing that to our attention, because that could have been catastrophe, just like we had on several other roads we identified through this, through the last 2 years, that we've had unfamiliar territory that we've been in each and every time that we have rain come in, flooding and roads, being washed out. That specific area, we had been meeting with members of the community there to try to make some allocations. We gave them one estimate. Obviously, it was, like you said, an Autobahn, almost. It was, and the price was pretty steep. But we were supposed to meet again and give them some other estimates as far as increased grading and what that would mean for that special area to their property tax. We've already, I think we've advised that we receive reimbursement from the state, which allows us maybe once a year to blade each road, and that's even pushing it. And then we get incidents like we did in El Centro, where we've already been out there maybe 5, 6, 7 times. Other roads are the same way, because it takes about $340 an hour to blade a road when you put in equipment and operators. And that cost is going up if anybody's seen fuel and oil lately. So when we respond in a manner that negates an emergency situation with as much personnel and equipment as possible. And that's one of the reasons why, again, our road department is in treacherous territory about being over budget again. So I'm not quite sure when we would address it. I think I've told Steve this before, we probably want to put it, the county would like to recognize it, to put it on our LGRF or our LGTPF and go after those funds, as well as we could identify it with ICIP. That would be a commission call.
Well, Manager Hawks, that's something that could be done with, like he brought up the limestone at $18 a ton. I mean, I understand that a lot of this sand's just washing off that hill, and that's what's causing a lot of the issues, but if we keep lading and keep going deeper, you know,
So one of the
maybe
things,
that limestone's something to look into.
thank you, one of the things we've talked about is the possibility of putting in our millings in certain sections. So like we have sugar sand, we addressed a rancher's issue, so we identified millings in certain sections. So that's a possibility. So we're in the process, because just recently, I think you said you didn't want to meet anymore, and so we were trying to figure out ways. And so now we've gone back to the drawing board and saying, okay, what problem section areas, especially, where we identified where there's piping maybe, and if there's sugar sand, and obviously augmenting that with millings, trying to tamp those down so we don't get that constant removal. And that road is constantly utilized not only by residents but by hunters. And so we get in there, and I'm sorry, anytime you do 55, 60 miles an hour on a dirt road, it causes washboarding and throwing materials to the side. And I'm a hunter, so.
Sure.
But those are some of the initiatives that we could address his issue. So we're still trying to address the emerging issues and see how we can do work on those.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm not well versed in the governing and politics of New Mexico yet. As I've learned in our many holdings that every city, county, and state government operates much differently. I would like to know the county's stance on corporate grants, like corporate road grants. I use something similar with our operation up here in Maine. The road that gained us access to our 3,000 acre holdings up here was a county road. It wasn't. It actually had trees growing in it. And after they reopened it for us, after a year and a half of going back and forth with these meetings, within 2 years, we were able to calculate an annual cost of the portion of the road that we needed. And they were able to, after talking with the county's legal counsel and everything else like that, we were able to work a situation in which we, as a privately held company, were able to issue a grant to the county, a road improvement grant every other year, which offset a substantial portion of maintenance moving forward. But for us, it was a matter of we had to have the road and use the road, because we have excavators, we have large farm tractors, we have research trailers that are heavy on a road. We needed to assess.
Let me see if Attorney Nance can get answer to that.
Certainly. Okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the county that would be, if we could receive a grant, that would be something that we would certainly greatly appreciate, and it would help out Steve and his crew, and that's something we certainly can utilize and work through.
Is that something you can go with both these gentlemen on?
I'm sorry?
Is that something you can discuss with both these gentlemen at a later time?
Absolutely, we could certainly discuss that. Yeah, and any proposal, the county of course would like. That's the county's issue is funds, and if there's a mechanism to provide it, well, then we'll take it.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Duggan.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, but the man's been here several times, and I think they've been patient enough. We got 20 million in Santa Fe and more coming. I don't know. All I can speak is for me. Fix his road, get the millings. We have a mountain over there in Limitar. It's an eyesore. I can't stand to look at it. Put it out on the parts that he needs it. The caliche, it's my understanding, it's just a salty clay. Is that not right, Senator? If it rains on caliche, you're gonna, it's like, guys, you don't want that stuff. But
Blading is not the outfit.
no, and that dates, well, let's, what's,
It would be great, but the big jump machinery, I don't need.
it's not your responsibility, it's ours. And we're shorthanded, no doubt.
Yes.
But I don't know why we can't, if we can't do it, hire it done. That's what I have to do to my business. I mean, fix the road.
Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Martinez.
Mike. Or we just maintain it? What land is there? Is that BLM land?
That's a checkerboard. It's all different types of ownership. We don't own the land. We maintain the road. I would like to say is, I think it's like Commissioner Duggins was saying, we are in the process of addressing that. So we will start putting out millings in those problem areas. While we understand that we'll probably go over budget, that's something we'll accept, just like we accepted going over budget with the Forest Service Road. The other thing I'd like to say in the spirit of economic development, what Mr. Moretti is asking for is reasonable. If he just wants us to blade, 2-blade length, 1.6 miles, that's gonna cost us maybe $3,000. In the spirit of gaining more GRT, I think that's something the county could absorb. So I think we can address both readily. It's just trying to get it done. The other one's fairly simple. The other one we'll start addressing through millings and seeing how that works out. And that'll help build it. Hauling in base course and everything else in areas, I don't know how that's just gonna get thrown to the side. So we'll start working on it diligently and see where we're at. And in the meantime, we'll be talking with Senator Sanchez and see the funding there. We'll definitely go after it.
If I could, I know you were mentioning like hunters and other people use the road, and that's the reason we didn't want to speak anymore, because to put that burden onto all the people who actually live there. I'm not there to make millions of dollars like this guy in Maine. I'm not here to beat up the land and to get as much as I can. I live here and I can't get my car. I don't always have access to a 4x4 truck. I've got a little car and I like my little car, and I don't know why I pay taxes too. I should be able to get down my little road, to my little house and live my little life. And I'm willing to help out, and having to put that on our taxes, I feel, is an undue burden on all the residents there when hunters use it. And this guy with his $1 million businesses and agriculture or whatever is gonna be using it, when Sunzia is gonna be beating it up and all the rest. And maybe we can get the money from those people who are doing the most damage, because it's not my little Ford Focus that's beating up that road. I don't drive down there at 50 miles an hour. I challenge anybody to be able to drive down there at 50 miles an hour. You can't.
Mr. Chairman, each side, his taxes, were we talking about that, like adding that tax to the tax bill?
Yeah, we had met with.
$350 a month.
This was a.
5 years.
What?
This was a special condition that we've done in other areas.
No, we were discussing options, and one option for a road improvement is a special assessment district, and that counties use all the time. So that was something that we discussed as an option, and they didn't want to use that option, which I certainly understand, but.
Thank you, sir.
Mr.
Just
Chairman.
real quick, Commissioner, go ahead. Sorry, maybe you're trying to.
Yeah.
My name is Daniel Frazier, and I live on the road as well. And I spoke the last time we were here in the evening. And I want to thank Art for telling the truth when he come up here. And he said for 26 years that road has been a problem. And what we've been discussing amongst ourselves as neighbors is, and I may cut my own throat here, but we were dragging it ourselves because we couldn't get in and out, and we couldn't get the county to grade it. So I and another resident bought big steel I-beams, and we're dragging it so that it's not washboarded, et cetera. Once we were told it's illegal, we stopped, or I did. But the issue is that for 26 years, the county has not maintained or fixed it. And I don't mean it to sound wrong or accusatory or whatever, but you gotta admit, For 26 years, there's a little bit of negligence there. This road should have been fixed years ago. It should have been dealt with years ago. And it's not been. And the little Band-Aids that keep getting put on it are just being scraped off every time it rains or every time there's a problem, an issue. And Mr. Hawks and them did have a proposal, but like they said, it came back way more than what was initially thought. We initially thought it might add a couple $100 a year, but it doesn't. It adds several $100 a month to our bill. And as Commissioner Dugan's pointed out, it's not our job and our burden to carry that weight. It's the county's, and it should have already been done. The road is much lower than the land around it, and as the gentleman that was on the phone said, a lot of it is because almost all the land slopes right down there, and we're the last road before you get to the Rio Porco. So there's a lot of buildup there, and on the south side of El Centro, the road is anywhere from this deep to that deep from the land. So we can't just piecemeal bring in millings here and millings there. The whole road needs to be built up, or we need to be able to come in and haul away the mounds of dirt on the south side of the road. There's spots where it's 6 foot tall on the south side of that road. So if we can get, and again, we understand that you're stressed and you went from 14 road graders and operators down to where you've got 3 now. But this is a almost 3-decade-long problem that needs to be dealt with. And there has been issues where people couldn't get medical help and had to be taken out with 4-wheel drive trucks to the ambulances and stuff, to the paramedics, because they couldn't get back there. I personally have pulled out on how many people. I helped the Socorro Electric gain access back there, and that's back when I was using my I-beam. They could not get back there in their big 6x. And the fellow that was in charge trying to get back to the substation to fix it stopped and talked to me, and he actually helped pull me to get the road open back up after we had a flood. So that's the main issue now, is it's been allowed to go on so long. I think Senator Sanchez has spoken that there are funds available and he'll work really hard to help the county get it, but the county hasn't been asking for it. So can we get you guys to ask for and get with him and figure out what we can do to get that initial 4.5 or 5 miles, I'm sorry, Mr. Hawks, I don't remember what you quoted, done, raised, and get the bed in there, get the limestone in there. And I've seen it work as well, because where they replace the culverts, we've got about, I'm gonna guess 150 foot to 250 foot of road now that's almost down to 1 lane, because when they put the culverts in, they didn't put them straight across the road, they angled them. So it narrowed it, and it's almost a telephone pole's length section that's like that. And you can already see where there's been some people who've went over the edge and almost ended up flipping because it's so narrow right there. I mean, you can't get 2 vehicles beside each other there. So if you're not paying attention, and it's gonna be an issue. So appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me speak. If you got any questions, or as Steve said, be willing to help.
Go ahead.
May I add on to what the gentleman just speaking was saying?
Somebody else.
Someone else is speaking right now.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't hear on the phone here, sorry.
I'm Karen Sutherland, and I live near Daniel on the same road. And just before you come to our driveways, the new pipes, the drainage pipes were not lowered into the ground, they're just apparently laid on top, because now there's a great big hill. You cannot see past the hill. And what he said about the narrow road, it's 1 car wide. And you're coming up the hill hoping nobody's coming at you. And they've fixed the road over and over and over. but it isn't fixed. It's just a dirt washboard in between two hills of sand. And my opinion, I see some people doubt that, but it's true. And if you had to drive on it every day, you'd understand. We had to have the struts and shocks on our first car repaired because of how many times we go over there. And we don't go fast. It's not the issue. Also, I think if it were done properly, I'm not a road worker and you can take that for what it is, but to come out and fix it and fix it and fix it is useless. Often we see the graders sitting on the road for 2-3 days even, just sitting down the road. And if they're short of equipment or manpower, move the grader. I mean, I don't understand. And that's all. I just wanted to say it's a crappy road. It floods, we can't go anywhere. The school bus doesn't even come down there anymore. They had to choose an alternative site. I really hope you can figure out how to fix it.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comment. And I think Commissioner Duggan said it best. It's just time to fix it. And I believe the manager already replied, we're gonna get to work on it immediately. Start hauling what we can and then I think still look into a permanent fix. That way we're not dealing with this. Hopefully we can get something suitable for everyone until SunZia does do their part and make it wide enough for their equipment where it won't disrupt any of your traveling. And apologies that it took 26 plus years, but.
Mr. Chairman, I've got just one other quick thing about the culverts. I'm not a roadman either, but I've run a lot of water and you can't just lay a culvert on the ground level. I think Senator Sanchez he's farmed enough. You got to put about 1/3 of that culvert below the ground level so that it will take advantage of the entire culvert. Is that not right? When we have a backhoe, don't we?
And the culverts are crushed in on the downhill side. I forgot.
Well, I'm sure they are. If the road is narrow, they're gonna run off and run over it, right?
I just have one minor point to add. My name is Lauren Parker, and I live in Bernardo along the road El Centro as well. And the concern that I have is I just want to let you know that just in the last rainstorm, this has affected my ability and my wife's ability to get to work. So my wife drives a smaller car. I've had to give her my 4-wheel drive truck, and then I've had to stay home from work a couple days already. And so like this is an ongoing thing. There are troublesome sections that are causing the majority of our pain. There's a layer where the caoutchouc has been exposed and looks fine when it's dry, but our last rain is still a puddle right now. I drove through it today, took a picture of at least 6 inches of water that's sitting there. So a few of these spots really need to be addressed or else my neighbors or myself are going to be having some real trouble.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I believe Jennifer, the gentleman on the phone, had one last comment before we move on.
Johnny, are you there still?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm actually glad. I've heard. I don't know any of what's going to be our future neighbors down there, but I've been hearing from a lot of their distress and troubles with where they're living right now and the road conditions out there. You know, I just want to reemphasize our entire business may be centralized in agriculture, but it is about the betterment of our community. And we have improved every community we have ever had operations in. And we are putting all of our eggs in one basket. Every piece of property we own anywhere in this country is for sale, and that investment is going into Bernardo, New Mexico. We as a company, my wife and I, you know, even with 9 children, I couldn't spend our money if I bought a Ferrari every year before we passed. We like to help our community, and I think that there is the situation we have in Maine here. You know, with the county, with the state, I think would be a viable. You know, granted red tape and legality, but I believe that as a corporation, especially as I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot here, but we do have some heavy machines we have to move around, we will be the hardest use on that road. And I'm not capitalist to the point where I just want the taxpayers to foot the bill for my business. I want to help any community that we are going to be a part of grow. My wife and I are building a house for us children on this initial 160 acres there. I too worry one of my kids breaks their legs or something like that. Right now, a four-wheeler trail and ambulance is going to get there. I would strongly ask of the commission and the county's council and everything. One, please get us at least open so we can get to the property so I can begin to estimate our annual revenues. We have a mathematical formula as a business where I can directly correlate the soil organic matter and soil organic carbon in the ground and extrapolate our projected annual revenues. Once I can do that, we can have a very long, serious conversation about some road development grants. I will never. We have $2.5 million right now that is going into land acquisitions out there. I know for the residents that probably scares them and everything else like that. But what we're putting in is rangeland and pasture land. It's not like you're driving through Iowa or Idaho and things like that, and row crops and just monstrosities of operations. We're low impact and quiet. Let us get out there and let us as a corporation help our community. We have worked in the past 10 years. We have wrote over $10.5 million for things from education to road development to Maine State University Bocc extension grants, 4-H program, everything else like that. I would love to help.
Gianni, I think this county is totally behind you. We're gonna work to open what we can, and we look forward to working with you, doing all we can to make this whole road, this whole driveway for all these residents comfortable for everybody, and it's a win-win.
Without any tax increase, right?
Without any tax increase.
Thank you.
So at this time, there's no action on this other than thanks for bringing it back to the table, Steve.
Thank you. And again, if there's anything we can do to help.
Again, it's been a long time because it was the previous commission that actually started hearing this when you first started coming in. And apologies it's taken so long, but we'll take care of it.
All right.
Thank you. I trust you guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Duggins. Now, before we go into executive session, one more, Mr. Sandoval, and I believe this is a consideration of the agenda request to address the nuisance complaint in Bosque by Al Sandoval, and Chairman Martinez brought this up.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And Merry Christmas. My name is Al Sandoval, and with me here today is some people from our community, Hilario and Andra Baca, his father, Martin Baca, and let me see if we got anybody else here yet. Where's Emmer? Oh, there's Emmer. Good, Emmer Barrela. He's a veteran of Vietnam War, and my wife as well. What's been happening in our area is we feel a nuisance, a big nuisance. Some people have moved in, and that's not the problem. They're not the nuisance. But what they're doing is they've created a rodeo and been running various events over the past year or so. And it's probably up to how many times now? Like 6, 7?
More than that, but.
At least 6 or 7, at least half a dozen or more rodeo events, okay? And the one that really kind of got to us was the last one. They ran it over a weekend. And not only did it cause noise ordinances and light ordinances and nuisance ordinances and sound ordinances. It was a big, big issue for the traffic on Highway 116. And as we've been talking almost all morning long, Abetas is an agricultural farming community and has been for centuries. Okay, back when the Abetas and the Jaramillos and the Baccas and Carrillos came in and settled the organization. In fact, right there, it's no longer there anymore, but it was a place called Picacho. And Picacho was right as you, at the turn right there where we just talked about the roads, right at the exit of 160, 175 on 116. That was a very flourishing farming community. Cane, tobacco, all kinds of stuff, and that since has gone away. Right, the ditch, you can see the culverts and everything are still there. These people that came in, and our neighbors, they're our next door neighbors. They're nice people, but we don't like what they're doing with the rodeo. And they've got the violations that they're doing is again the sound ordinance, the noise ordinance, the nuisance ordinance, and something called the Night Sky Protection Act that we can tell. And also there is a Beta Sabinal zoning district there, and they needed to get some permission from at least the surrounding neighbors to see if they could put such a thing in. We don't know if it followed all the rules and regulations to putting up a rodeo. Okay, they have because the last one we saw there, they were trying to do their own traffic control. Okay, and they even shut off roads to some of the neighbors so they can put their parking lot in there, which is tons and tons of horse traders and cattle traders and what all. So what we'd like to do is, now that I've told you what the violations, I think they're just like say resolution or a request from the commission, the county to help them stop. Because Varela, who's back here, he's handicapped right now, and he needs his rest, and you have violations of noise and everything else like that. We have a day sleeper. Eladio himself works for the railroad, and sometimes he has to move out of his own house to go get some sleep so he can work for the railroad at night. And we have other people that can't even make it here today. That old community where, I shouldn't say old, yeah, we are an old community. Most of the people that live there are retired people, and the grade was they've had it up to here with this. He's on dialysis, and it bothers him quite a bit when he hears all those noises and the trucks and it's just a real terrible thing. Maybe Eladio and Audra here can show you what's been going on. That I think what she has there is pictures of some of the flyers where they've had different. So, did you want to say anything?
Good morning. My name's Eladio Bocc, and we spoke at the last meeting. We put on a rodeo, my wife's family and I, one of the largest rodeos in the state of Miami. And there's different channels that we have to get permits, we have to have ambulance, we have to have insurance. And part of that goes, there's big talk about the roads and taxes, but we don't know if they're licensed, if they're paying grocery streets tax on any of this. The road completely blocked. There's no turning lane. If an emergency vehicle needs to get by, there's trailers stacked up. As Al mentioned, I work for the railroad and I'm on call 24/7. This last event that was over 800 feet, it was 16 acres of trailers. The PA system is so loud, I could not sleep. I had to go to my daughter's and was to sleep. I worked all night. That's a safety issue. This is a part of the Belen land grant. This is a farming community, and there's places for these events. There's right here in Socorro. There's in Valencia County. It just does not belong down there. You know, we've noticed that there's RVs coming in. He's renting out RV spaces. It's becoming problematic.
And just the pictures that I showed you, the last picture was the light. So there's about 25 acres between our house and their place. And that's the lights from the arena that you can see from our gate. And so Mr. and Mrs. Sandoval live right next to them. And so she said, even when my blinds are shut, my curtains are shut, it's like the headlights right into her window. And, you know, of course, we are rodeo people, we're agricultural people, we can appreciate that, but we also know that there is a place and a time for everything. You guys have some awesome rodeo facilities here in Socorro as well, like you said, in Belen and Valencia County. And so, you know, the rodeo that my family and I put on for many years, you know, we were a mile and a half away and we were a benefit to the community. We you know, as far as gross receipts tax, we paid our taxes. We, you know, had various people come in. It was a benefit to the community. We were not in a neighborhood, and this essentially, even though it's an agricultural neighborhood, it is still a neighborhood and not necessarily a commercial thing. Again, not that they have to ask. I mean, it's the neighborly thing to do is say, hey, we're fixing to have a huge event here, would it be okay? And they never asked. You know, the people that are here today have lived in this community a lot longer than we have. We've lived in this community longer than they have. And we just wanted the respect of our neighbors, you know, as far as understanding that they were in a community and not in a commercial area.
At the last meeting, somebody had mentioned that they were ran out of Valencia and Katrin?
So there was another rodeo committee, Bad Decisions, that was on Jaramillo Road in Belen. They were all over the news. And they went before several meetings and they got shut down over there. The same reason, the PA systems, the lights, the traffic. And not to mention, you know, going back to ag, he has a sprinkler system trying to water down this arena. But we're under curtailment as farmers, and this sprinkler is just running on. I mean, there's so many different issues here. But yes, there's been several different counties that
have shut this down.
That have shut down rodeos in the residential areas.
Commissioner Duggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's my understanding that we have a noise and a light ordinance. Is that right, Attorney Nance?
Yes, if I might, Mr.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's a few avenues that the county can take, and there's some that where we're not like Valencia County. There is a special situation which we've already noticed, or it's already been discussed. So certainly, what the county can and should do is, you know, if there is an event, the next event, you know, we need to have, you know, the sheriff's office and our code people out there and determine whether it's violating our ordinances, and if they're blocking our roads, that's when we can probably act in even a stronger way and obtain an injunction from the district court to keep them from doing any of that sort of thing. That said, you know, in Valencia County, Bad Decisions Road and that sort of thing, it was in violation of the zoning ordinance. In this particular situation, this property is in a special zoning district. So even if the county wanted to pass a zoning ordinance and enforce it, it could not, because the special zoning district controls that. So we can enforce our roads, and we can enforce our light and noise and all the nuisances, and we can hit that pretty hard. But we can't do anything like Valencia County because the special zoning district has the authority, not us.
So could maybe the sheriff or somebody get a schedule so that we know when it's going on, so we could measure all of that? And honestly, could we invite him to the mayor's rodeo arena here? Just get it in a proper place.
Well, and I know the rodeo that we put on, that my family's put on, and it may be in the same special circumstances, same zoning, is in Santa Fe. I'm from Santa Fe, but we were allowed to do one event a year. And so, again, we had to have all of the credentials that we needed in order to put on the event, but it was once a year. And so I understand that there was a couple of benefit things that they put on there. But
we don't have any zoning and we can't afford to put a zoning department in.
It's not that, even if we wanted to, this is in a special zoning district, so the county has no authority there. Unless that special zoning district dissolves itself, we have no authority whatsoever there for zoning. So for instance, if you're talking about Santa Fe, limiting it to one time a year or putting those sorts of restrictions on it, that is a zoning issue, which again, the special zoning district has the authority here. Well, but what we can control is the nuisance. We have the ability to control that.
Could we go to the special zoning and ask them? I mean, and they could shut the door on their face. We dissolve it?
If not, they have to dissolve themselves.
Yes, the special zoning districts, all the paperwork is in place, okay? There are 3 members left of the original commissioners, okay? That's Romy Skinner Baca now, Jean Gallegos, Carrillo, and Tony Salas. Okay, the other 2 commissioners on that special zoning commission have passed. There's an issue there. We need to have a election for this special zoning commission, but also in the laws rules that I've looked at on the special zoning commission, it is enforceable by either the DA, district attorney, or the sheriff of the county. So we could, if we can utilize the special zoning commission, we can shut them down today. Okay. So, that's one thing we can do right away. If the special zoning commission asks for a new business coming in or operation to come in, has to have written permission and gotten permission from the neighbors right around them, and then taken to the commission, and the commission has to then vote on it and say yay or nay to the whole thing. So yes, we could probably we can use the special zoning commission today. A little bit of an issue there in that we only have 3 members left of the original commission, and we probably do need to have a special election, and that's something I guess we have to go through your clerk again. Okay, we have people who want to run on be on that commission already, and myself, Eladio, my wife, Audra, one of the original members is Romy. She said that she would serve. So it's quite a big district. The zoning it goes from the county line on the north side all the way down to Bernardo, and from the river more or less to the power line on the east and west side. So it is a big area, and I know that we seem to see a lot of more commercial issues coming up in that area now. People are getting very, very concerned. So Adrian?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so
he's the brain.
The law, I guess, a lawyer in this situation. But what can we do immediately through the zoning commission to take this issue to these people and have them shut down?
You would have to, they would have to formulate, have an open meeting pursuant to an Open Meetings Act, call for an election, pay for the election, elect new people, and then once that's constituted, then review their ordinances and see, and pass what ordinances they can do. So they have the power to, to do exactly like you're saying. You can do this once a year and you have to have this permitting and that permitting. But the county can't address that. But what the county can do is the nuisance aspect of it.
What about the traffic issue?
Certainly, no, the traffic issue, that would be, you could do that through the zoning commission. Now, if they're blocking the roads, like you say, then we'll need to be out there and we can address that. But we have to, because of procedural due process, it's something that,
Right.
our code or our sheriff will have to, come out and see, and then we can address it. Whereas with the zoning, you could do it prospectively. You could say, all right, no, you can't do that. But again, the county doesn't have any zoning authority there. Even if it wanted to, it does not.
Okay, well, we did call the state police, okay, because at the time before our newly elected sheriff was there, the sheriff didn't really, shall we say, didn't respond well. But the state police did, and they were called out twice during that one weekend because they were not only blocking the road, but afterwards, after some little situation that you have at rodeos, you're speeding up and down the road, and actually on Sunday they caused a big problem for our community there. My wife and I are the mayordomos of our mission church there, and our parishioners couldn't get to church because of all these big old trailers that are coming in. It's terrible. So we did call the state police and tried to, get them to stop. But you get, like you said, you got to be there to knock the thing down. So okay, Lori, did you have some?
There is one other thing that I would like to share is on some of those flyers that I passed out. There's one in January and there's one in February. And so if you would maybe write that down and send somebody, then you could really see the ordinance that are being affected through the events.
Excuse me, just real quick on some clarification. Commissioner Secretary was asking exactly where it is, like from the Sodus's house.
It's about 3 miles north of the Solaces.
Just
On
straight
the
north of
west side of the
On the
river.
west side of the road,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
We're not talking around Romeo Loop.
Oh, no, God, no.
Okay. Well, we have a new sheriff in. He right back there.
Right. So to be exactly where it is, it's 3.2 miles north of the exit right there on the west side of the road. Okay. Guys, if you remember, I think Carrillo was he a commissioner? Commissioner at one time, right next to his house.
Where is it in distance from the county, what do you call it, the building out there, the community building?
But it's 4 miles.
The 4 miles which way? South.
And from the fire, from the fire department in
Yeah.
Vegas, it's a mile south.
South.
A mile south on the same side, west side.
West side of the road.
It's 349 or 339 Highway 116 is the address.
Attorney Nance said, it seems like we had some other kind of board or something in that area. I don't remember what they did, but they were not meeting or they were.
That's the board they're talking about, so that's why they have to
I thought
reconstitute.
we dissolved that.
We don't have the authority to dissolve
Well,
that.
who does?
They do,
Themselves?
correct.
Well, who gave birth to them?
They did.
It's why we.
We just gotta get our commission back together again, which means we have to go through an election, which we'll.
But if they haven't been going by the rules, looks like somebody could dissolve them.
it would take somebody with standing. It would be somebody generally from the board. And so they are in control under state law. They're in control of that aspect of it. So they need to reconstitute and decide, have the election like they say, and then they can at that point decide, okay, we're going to create our laws and enforce our laws, or they can say we're going to dissolve, and then it's county. But they need to, that board has to act. The state law gave them this independent authority.
And the DA can't step in and say, you guys haven't met, you haven't, surely they gave them guidelines that you meet so many times a year.
They're all there, and they have not complied with those. But yes, but that doesn't. But they're the ones that are in control of that destiny on that one.
We'll take care of it. Lord?
All right, I've been here and I've listened to all the pros and cons about this whole situation. And I'm here to state that I am taking it very personally because I am a descendant of those people who originally settled that community. I am a Beta and Jaramillo married to a Sandoval. So this is of major importance to me to continue to preserve that community as it was as much as possible. I realize we live in modern times and things change, and changes is okay. But it has to be done correctly, by the law, follow the rules, be a good neighbor, the golden rules. Maybe I'm being too much of an optimist and thinking, or too much of a purist and thinking that everything should be right. But I still believe in right and wrong. And what is going on in that area with those neighbors is absolutely wrong. It hurts the entire community, not just me. It's not about me. It's about Hilario and his wife. It's about my aunts and my uncles and all these people who have lived there and have and are still living there. And they're not in peace because of all the nonsense that is going on. All these commercial people coming in and disturbing our peace and tranquility. And I think that, something needs to be done. I realize that there's your limitations. You have your limitations. But I'm here to say we were going to work it to make it right. And this will not be allowed any longer in that community. For as long as we can hold it back, we will. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So my understanding is that there's 3 ordinances that could be looked into. One is the Night Sky Protection Act, the noise ordinance, and the nuisance ordinance. That's the ones you'll look at, right? Yes. Okay. And I don't know, Senator, if there's anything statewide that can be done other than this rodeo issue that, permissions and how it's run and conducted and all that kind of stuff. I tried looking into the, the RDA or the
PRC.
No, the ones that they do mostly the permissions to build and stuff like that. What they call the regulatory commission deal, and I looked into the Better Businesses bureaus and stuff like that. I don't know where to go to on the state side to see how we could, because I'm sure these guys are not legal, okay, or at least they may be legal, but they're not permitted, okay? They don't have the right permits. We know there's no ambulances there. We know there's no fire protection there. They're running food trucks there. I did try to get a hold of a guy named Levi, who was in the environmental health organization, and he's got to go out there when there's an event going on too as well. So, but maybe, and then there's the livestock issue. I'm not a rodeo guy, so I don't know how many times you can use a calf to rope with, okay? But if you're going for 2 days, I don't know how many calves you need for that. It's, those kind of issues. Okay, I didn't see any abuse of the animals at all. Nobody beating them up or not feeding them or anything like that. But, I don't know rodeo. I'm not a rodeo person, so. But obviously, from what Audra and Hilario had to say, there are things that the rodeo, maybe there's a rodeo commission, I don't know. And they should look into this. So maybe from the state, we can get some help that way. That's pretty much our, my presentation. We went over the issues. I did the introduction and we highlighted the violations and we requested some help from you. And I guess we know what the next steps are, and that is from the county side is to be there for when there's next events out there. And I think we have a couple of schedules already that you have in front of you. So we can go from there. So any comments? Commissioners?
Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, thank you. Anything, well, hold on, we have Emmer Varela, he wants to say something. He lives right next door to us.
Commissioners, I welcome this opportunity to say a few words. I was born in Belen, raised in Oasis. We've never had situations like this before. And something has got to be done to stop it. Because in the history of the area, there has been bad things go on for infractions. I call them infractions, I don't know what for. I know people who have been killed over situations, over cows, over land, over farming. There's enough problems in the world without having to add to it. But we definitely need the community. We're an aging community down there, and we are a very proud and historic community. We have a lot of good history from the people of that area, from the people of this area. My dad, Abilicio Varela, he was in an army unit called the Ghost Army. They received the Congressional Medal of Honor recently. We have down in Bernardo, General Silas Andrew. We have Lori's dad. He was involved with the atomic bomb on Kenyon Island. We have my former neighbor, Silo Aveta. He was involved on Guam with the atomic bomb. We need to preserve this history, and like we are just asking for help to do it right, because it could get ugly pretty quick. And so let's not let that happen. Help us resolve the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service, sir.
You're welcome. I'll do it again for the good people.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything to add or any questions? Mr. Sandoval, just whatever direction you go, just keep in touch and let them know where you're at and what you need help on. I think this commission is more than happy to help you resolve this issue. The northern part of the county is great because it's peaceful and quiet, and that's why y'all like it there.
But there is some help, and I don't know if we contact for the special election, is that the county clerk's office? I think there's a special election coming up real soon we can piggyback on. For the school district, I believe.
Actually, I know we don't have a special election. We do have a regular local election coming up in 2024 in November. I don't know if your situation would qualify for that, but I have made notes already to look into that.
Yeah, I was under the understanding there was supposed to be a school board.
That falls under our local elections, so.
Okay.
Currently, the county clerk runs elections every year. So in 2024, that local election does include our city of Socorro, anything that Magdalena has, any of the school board elections. Well, that's all combined into one election.
Oh, okay, so there's nothing in 2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is in 2023. I'm ahead of myself. In 2023 is the local election
Okay, and that'll be when?
in November.
In November, okay.
For
So we have from now to November to get our stuff together so we can have our.
And I will also look into that. If you could give me your name and phone number,
Sure.
then I can look into what the requirements would be to that. And Adrian, if you could assist too. I've never had an election for the zoning. So we can work on that.
Talk to Audrey. Oh, yeah.
So we'll work on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Sure, I'll give you a call right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks again, Mr. Tannenbaum, and good luck with all that, y'all.
Thank you so much, and Senator, hope you can help us out. Maybe there's something on the state level we can do.
Look into it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Okay, gentlemen, at this time, I would like a motion. Go into executive session, motion roll call vote to go into executive session and that pursuant to New Mexico State Statute, section 10-15-1. Only the following matters will be discussed in closed session. A, competitive sealed proposal for the senior program RFP and MAAA.
I'll make I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dr. Carroll, Vice Chairman Secretarial, and a second by Commissioner Duggan. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Secretary,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gonzalez.